Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Randstad Australia Industrial Relations Training Series. In this episode I'll take you through the Fair Work Act 2009, a brief history, who it applies to and how it works. Most importantly, I'll take you through the National Employment Standards, 10 unassailable rights granted to all employees covered by the Commonwealth Industrial Relations System.
The Fair Work Act is the latest in a long line of industrial relations related laws. What makes the Fair Work Act unique is that it applies to more employees than any other act in Australia's history. This occurred by reason of the federal government's annexation of IR powers in relation to all Commonwealth registered companies previously determined by the individual states. This occurred in 2006 when the Howard government enacted its work choices legislation. As a result, 90% of employees were now covered by the federal system. It did not apply to employees of state governments, sole traders, or partnerships, or state-based incorporated associations such as Lions Clubs. In 2009, after Kevin Rudd and the ALP's victory in the federal election, and the inaction of the Fair Work Act, the states, with the exception of Western Australia, succeeded their power over the remaining employees to the Commonwealth system, with the exception of their own state government employees.
The Fair Work Act was revolutionary on a number of fronts and has been lauded by many commentators as being both pragmatic and protectionist. Its most important aspects included the 3 tiers of protections for employees. These are the national minimum wage, the unfair dismissal provisions, and the national employment standards. It also refined the regulations further by creating industry-specific modern awards and a new form of enterprise agreement that could replace them. More on those later. The minimum wage is the lowest amount that an employee covered by the Fair Work system can be paid, subject to whether there is a higher amount provided by a modern award or enterprise agreement. It is currently $17.70 per hour or $672.70 per week for a permanent employee and $22.13 per hour for a casual employee. Every year a case is heard in the Fair Work Commission to determine whether or not the minimum wage should be increased. This involves stakeholders providing evidence and submissions relating to the relevant matters such as the state of the economy and the cost of living. The case is heard in the first half of the year and the decision becomes effective as at the 1st of July. This year, the minimum wage was increased by 2.4%. The minimum wages under the relevant modern awards are also increased by the same percentage as the minimum wage. Unfair dismissal under the Fair Work Act is described as dismissal that is harsh, unjust or unreasonable in the circumstances. A simplification of this principle would be to say that termination of an employee should only be used as a last resort. But not all employees are protected by unfair dismissal. Employees earning over $138,900 annually, or employees of small businesses, that is, employers with less than 15 employees, are exempt from the unfair dismissal provisions. Casual employees, however, are protected. The National Employment Standards, or NES, are a set of 10 unassailable workplace rights guaranteed to all employees covered by the Fair Work system. Those rights include a maximum 38 ordinary hour working week, the right for some employees to request flexible work arrangements, 4 weeks paid annual leave per year, 2 weeks paid personal leave per year, which encompasses sick and carers leave, a right to long service leave, a conditional entitlement to parental leave, the right to community service leave for events such as jury duty, paid public holidays, an entitlement to notice of termination and redundancy, and a right to receive the Fair Work Information Statement on commencement of employment. The Fair Work Information Statement is a document prepared by the Fair Work Ombudsman that outlines these entitlements and when they apply to employees. Some of the NES entitlements do not apply to casuals in the same way that they apply to other workers. These include paid leave entitlements and redundancy. Casuals are paid a casual loading in respect of these entitlements. However, they do enjoy 2 days unpaid compassionate leave and unpaid sick leave. In the coming episodes, we'll discuss these entitlements in more depth. In our next episode, we'll look at some of the paid leave entitlements guaranteed under the NES, as well as the flexibility provisions contained in both the NES and elsewhere throughout the Act.